Just like we saw many laughable arguments from the respondents at the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal, the same thing is repeating itself at the Supreme Court to the extent that they are even indicting themselves. Imagine Bola Tinubu saying to the Supreme Court that, hey, I'm not the only person that forged results. Atiku also forged his. It's just like a policeman catching a thief, and the thief turns around and tells the policeman, hey, I'm not the only person that stole. This one also stole. This one also stole. Yes, this is basically Tinubu's argument at the Supreme Court. He told the court that Atiku's first school leaving certificate bears Atiku Kojoli, while his GCE certificate bears Siddiq Abubakar, and he is now known as Atiku Abubakar. So trying to infer that maybe he forged his certificate or he's not the real owner of the certificate because of the difference in names. But Atiku Abubakar has already countered this by saying that he legally changed his name in the early 70s, backed by an affidavit. As you all know, change of name is completely legal. Many women marry all the time and they adopt their husband's surnames. They go to court, swear to an affidavit, and it becomes legal. That affidavit alone shows that it is the same person despite bearing different names. Unlike someone else who changed his entire names and adopted someone else's identity, and he doesn't want people to know the former names he used to bear. He doesn't want anything to do with the former identity. Why? Now, let's see the legality of what Tinubu's counsel is doing at the Supreme Court. We saw them use this kind of tactics at the appeal court, and at the end of the day, the court adopted all their arguments, even went beyond that. A respondent in an election petition dispute is there to defend himself. He is there to answer to all issues raised by the petitioner, not try to introduce his own petition, because this is basically what they are doing. They are accusing Atiku of something. Atiku is not the one on trial here. Tinubu is, with INEC and APC. So if they feel they have anything on Atiku, they should bring it in a separate court, seeking to disqualify him based on that. They cannot bring it at the Supreme Court. It's not possible. Besides, this means they are now bringing new evidence, because this evidence was not brought at the appeal court. Atiku's evidence was brought at the appeal court, despite the honorable justices saying that it was not front-loaded. At the Supreme Court, Atiku brought substantial evidence that proves that Tinubu forged his certificate. So the respondents should focus on countering the forged certificate, because the evidence is clear. The oral deposition from Chicago State University is there. They should focus their arguments on the issues. Let them counter the forged certificate. This was exactly the same thing they did at the appeal court. Instead of countering the accusation, they brought something that has now been proven to be forged. Yes, all the documents they purportedly certified didn't come from Chicago State University. Instead of countering the argument with superior ones, they are now pointing accusing finger at Atiku Abubakar that he has issues with his credentials. That basically means it's not only Tinubu that forged certificate, that Atiku did too. Atiku is not the one on trial, Tinubu is. Or are they expecting the Supreme Court to disqualify a petitioner that brought the petition in the first place? This is the problem. When you see these kind of arguments made at the top level, you see how it trickles down to the lower level, to the people who are supporting him. Some people even say that they share these kind of arguments in their WhatsApp groups. This is why you get the same robotic response from many of them. They are saying that someone forged a certificate, and some people will be asking you, why are you disgracing Nigeria? Why don't you allow him finish his term, you contest another one? Is that a response to the forged certificate? How about the person who forged the certificate in first place? He didn't consider the disgrace that would become of Nigerians as a result of his actions. So they hold the opposition to a higher standard, but on their own side, it is do whatever you like. Nothing will happen to you. We are behind you. This is lawlessness and impunity at its peak. You can't build a nation where the law applies to a different people. It doesn't apply to others. It also shows the character of his followers, telling people to accept illegality because they all supported him during the election. So everyone should suffer because of that. The law should be upheld by the Supreme Court. That's the only way to build a nation. The law is meant for everyone. Everyone is equal in the eyes of the law. It's shameful that many of them are not talking today because of cronyism and political patronage. Many of them protested against the increase of petrol price. But today, the same petrol is sold for more than 600 naira. No one is protesting, no one is talking. What about the exchange rate? An import-dependent economy, the naira is exchanging for more than 1,000 naira to a dollar. No one is talking, no one is protesting, just because it is Tinubu. All along, it was never about democracy. Yes, during the 90s, many civil organizations were fighting the military to get back to democracy. It was just about their grabbing power for themselves. They weren't criticizing the government in order to do things differently. They only wanted to have that power. Yes, even Buhari, all the years he's been criticizing former presidents, one would have thought that if he gets there, he will do things differently. But no, all his actions in office proves that the reason he was criticizing all former presidents was because he was not the person in power. In other words, if I'm the one committing corruption and enriching myself in office and playing negligence, playing ostrich when things are falling around me, no problem, I can't be held accountable. But if it's someone else doing it, yes, that person should be held accountable. All these unpatriotic old men, they don't understand the concept of leadership or the concept of nation building, but they expect young people to continue hoping that things will get better. Why they continue making it impossible for things to get better in the first place? How can things get better in Nigeria when in 2023 we are trying to define the word "and"? Old men can't define the word "and" because of cronyism. We can't define a forged certificate when the person that is legally authorized to produce that same document have come out to say, no, we didn't produce this document, it is forged. But people are still giving excuses, trying to introduce one technicality on the other. How can things get better when we can't do better than we did 30 years ago in 1993 elections? We didn't do the right thing yesterday, we haven't done the right thing today, and we are planning to do the wrong thing tomorrow. It won't get better. It will only get worse. Yes, it will only get worse. In fact, it is already getting worse. Look at all the people that are supporting Tinubu today. Many of them were against him in the past. Someone like Keyamo, who fought alongside Ganifa Wemi of blessed memory. Keyamo even sued Tinubu because of his certificate issues in the early 2000s. But all of a sudden, all that he accused him of then disappeared. He's now singing his praises. He's now his chief defender. What about FFK? That one, he said unprintable things about Tinubu. In fact, he revealed some time ago that he went to prison in his former name. That was the reason he changed his name to this present one. But all of them have suddenly forgotten everything they said. So it was never about fighting for democracy, good governance, human rights, or anything. The reason they did all that was because they were not in power. Now that they are in power, what have they done? They've made things worse. They've used that power to oppress their fellow citizens. What a Nigerian will not experience in a foreign country will be done to him in his own country. Yes, today they detain people indefinitely without trial, just like the military did. The military they opposed in the 90s. They are repeating the same thing today. So what's the difference between them? They say that silence is complicity. All the people that are not talking today because it is Tinubu, watch out for them, what they will say when it will be another person. The Supreme Court can still stop all this. They should not legalize forgery. Do you know what it means going forward in Nigeria? There won't be any need to get educated in the future because you can simply forge a certificate and claim to have gone to school despite the school saying that you did not attend. Or let's even assume that you attended, but the certificate you submitted didn't come from them. This is beyond Tinubu. This is now all about Nigeria's image, Nigeria's policy going forward. May the voice of reason prevail. Thanks for watching.